It is far too easy to get them to pay attention, enraptured. They hang on to my every word and follow my every move. All of it would have been stifling had I not grown used to such stares. Most are respectful, some are hostile if we are honest, and a few are downright inappropriate. After all, I am.
Kinda right!
There's a moment of agitation as a familiar but less than welcome face approaches me with a suggestive smirk on his face. Of course, I have to keep a benevolent smile and greet him as I greet any good friend. After all, this man can turn heads, being famous in his own right.
Officer Lee! What a pleasant surprise. I didn't think you'd have the time to attend tonight's party.
He is more Luke's friend than mine, really, and I am quite sure I only invited his wife. Much like I am only friends with the Chief Inspector because of Luke, Luke is only friends with Rochelle because of me. Unlike how I treated Lee, however, Luke never hid his animosity for the lead matriarch. It was an odd sort of friendship where we would have awkward double dates. I don't even recall his first name. It started with an N, I think. I might be wrong. Aside from being Chief Inspector of Luxbourne Police, his wife Rochelle Lee, née Vance, owns a General Electronics company. Fridges and freezers mostly.
Oh, I always have time for my favourite socialite couple. Might I say, you look positively ravishing tonight. I see the husband isn't with you.
The way he eyes me up is enough to make my skin crawl. I just wish Luke is here to fend off the more unseemly of our peers. You know the ones. Men who are just a bit too friendly, staring too long at my assets, and getting close just because my husband is not here. And to think they have the gall to do this at my own party. In my own house, if I might add. But like any high society woman worth her salt, I know how to handle it with grace and dignity.
I suppose you are looking pleasant as well. Luke's busy with work, unfortunately. Rochelle isn't here?
A shame. I do hope he isn't causing you much trouble. That husband of yours can be a bit daft sometimes, acting like he's still some young bachelor. The wife sends her regards and her apologies, but something came up with her doctor and she needed to attend to it. You know her, being pregnant and all.
We make small talk. Rather, I'm forced to do so as he would not leave my side after finding his place there. Much to my chagrin, I've been extricated from the few who flock in hopes of flattering, for I can tolerate them far better than Lee. He is a nice enough person, and I adore his wife, who is obviously the brains behind the two. But there's something unsettling about him. I do not trust him as much as I want to. He regaled me details of the Luxbourne Police Department, a different affair to the usual gossip I'm privy to, and though I loathe to admit, is interesting nonetheless. I expect the topic of business to die out quickly, which would be understandable enough due to the confidential nature of his work. But oh boy, was I wrong.
So, wearing civvies, I steal and drive off with one of the police mobiles, right? In the mirror, I see the mutant chasing on foot and screaming about theft.
Man, they take hazing to new levels out there.
The look on his face was priceless when I parked in the garage.
Oh my. You made him chase you all the way home for a prank. What did Rochelle have to say about that?
Rochelle has a strange love and hate affair with Lee. He is a married man who did not grow up past his early 20s, judging by the way he acts. Surprisingly enough, they've been married for a good 20 years. A lifetime if you compare it to my marriage of 7 years with Luke. I, on the other hand, well, Luke is no Lee. I should be happy about that, I suppose. Although my darling did have his moments.
The wife pulled my ear and gave me a good talking to, though. Besides, we live in a flat a block away, so it wasn't much of a grand chase.
Weren't you living in a house near the countryside?
Moved for work, you know. Or you probably don't.
No, I don't. But a flat in downtown. I suppose if that's what you like.
Oh, it's horrid. Hate that tiny place, no matter how convenient it can be for work. 55 square yards are not enough when you need to get away from the wife.
Oh man, I like this guy already. He is my new favorite character.
I wouldn't mind a place away from the city. Even started looking at the ads. I spied an interesting lot, actually. Heard it was finally put up for sale, or that something mansion. You know the one with all the ghost stories.
I know what he is talking about. There are really only a few urban legends around here. It's...
The Ermagood Mansion?
That's the one. Worthy of a king it is. I'd buy it myself, but Rochelle would only gripe if I brought it up to her. Not to mention all the expenses a place like that will be a real fixer-upper. You also have to find someone willing to work there with how superstitious people can be.
If it becomes a problem, just hire someone to do an exorcism.
Actually, I do know of someone who could be up to the task. You remember the Ludgates party at their Christchurch summer residence?
Of course. It was an excellent soiree. Everything was so classy, too. Such good taste.
Oh, that place was a pigsty until they hired out this interior designer and they turned it into a bloody palace. She worked for the Exodus for their apartment in Soho too, and they recommended her when we were looking up pieces for our beach house in Porto Colom. I think I have a business card no, I must have left it in my other jacket. Anyway, she's called, what's her name, McCullough, Marianne, I believe, yes. But truly, if anyone were to get that place in McCullough, well, they'd be the envy and the talk of the town.
Well, if you put it that way, I might just snatch it up for myself. This place was starting to feel a bit small lately anyway.
Sure, a 3-story penthouse might not fit the definition of small for some people. Okay, maybe a lot of people. But it isn't big enough to have grand parties in. As it is, I only invited about 30 people to this one and it already feels cramped in here. It certainly would be nice if I didn't have to ride an elevator up and down several floors before I can get anywhere as well. All Luke's words and not mine. Besides, I have been looking for a good anniversary gift. Luke might like this one. Where is he anyway? I need to pay more attention to the dates. Luke is dressed to the nines as he usually is, and he looks ready for whatever the day will throw at him. His butler and valet wait at his side, just in case he isn't as ready as he looks. Oh sure, that is normal. What is confusing me is the fact that he is on his way out of the penthouse, considering we won't have anywhere to go until much later.
Where are you going?
I am to attend the Triad Autumn Tasting. I do believe I informed you of this 2 weeks ago.
Yes. And might I remind you that I had stricken that off your schedule? Because 1, the doctor told you to stop consuming so much alcohol. And 2, I informed you a few days ago about the open house we are going to attend in its place. I've even found this marvelous interior designer, Mary Ann McCullough.
It's a 3.5-hour drive to Cardiff. I don't have time for this. This is like that little party you threw all over again. You don't inform me of it, and you expect me to stay and be a gracious host when I have business elsewhere. You know how I operate, Hannah. Unless this was penciled in, I am sticking to my schedule.
If I may intrude, the madam is correct. Your physician did insist you moderate your drinking, unless you wish to incur acute pancreatitis.
Or cirrhosis.
And you did have this open house penciled in last Wednesday morning.
Bollocks, I don't remember doing so.
Well, you did. While very hungover, in fact.
He did. Moaned about me being too loud, but gave in after some pushing. Perhaps that was a bit too cruel and manipulative of me, but...
Whose side are you on?
Come on, Luke. You promised we'd do whatever I want this weekend.
Gordon Bennett, fine. I am giving this house tour of yours a chance. But if it proves to be a waste of time, I am going to Cardiff, and you are going to take a cab home. Are we clear?
Man, he reminds me of Archer. It's just a bit of a husband and wife tit for tat, isn't it? All couples have their arguments. Once the honeymoon phase is over, as they seem to call it, reality sets in that you and your partner might not always see eye to eye. Perhaps it has been the years. 7 of them is nothing to scoff at.
I just cannot bloody believe I agreed to this. I was really looking forward to the Triad tasting.
Though sometimes I think it's something a bit more than simple disagreements, and I have to stop myself from wondering where we went wrong.
There's always the Triad Christmas tasting in Manchester next month, and that'll only be an hour-and-a-half drive.
Have I been neglectful? Have I offended? Have I acted shamefully?
Yes, but Cardiff.
Certainly, any problem that can be discussed. As long as he doesn't turn me away.
Well, there goes my good mood. Are you happy now, Hana?
Let's stand up.
Yes, I am very happy, Luke. Because for once in a very long time, we are doing what I want. I'm ecstatic. Understood? And this would be perfect if you stop acting like a child who needs their nappy changed. We will be leaving after lunch for the Ermengarde mansion. You are going to park your rear in the car and keep mum. And you are going to behave during the tour.
Needless to say, Luke looks a bit shocked at my little outburst. He opened and closed his mouth a few times, struggling to reply, before he crosses his arms to look like, well, a moping child.
Any more rules for this little excursion of yours, Your Highness?
No wine.
No wine? Unacceptable! I am already not allowed to the tasting, and you would deprive me of that simple pleasure?
If I see you take one sip today, I will put the stocks under lock and key. Do you understand me?
Don't forget the bottles he keeps in his dresser.
Whose side are you on?
Seriously, man.
How many times in one day can you ask that?
As many times as I need you, traitor.
The ride to the mansion is quiet, with Luke having stared out the window the entire way, not paying attention to anything around him. Meanwhile, I'm conflicted. I don't know if I should apologize for changing his plans like that. But by the time we arrive at the mansion and I see his eyes light up in genuine interest, apologizing is the last thing on my mind. The whole affair with the Ermengarde mansion is certainly an interesting experience. The place had been renovated and restored by the owners to what they claim to be acceptable standards. The mansion itself looks like something befitting a fairy tale or a period piece. It is tastefully decorated, and with a little bit of love and attention, I'm sure it can be a place Luke and I can call home. And the number of other prospective buyers that have come from the powerful and wealthy of Luxborn certainly did not disappoint, marking this estate as prime property. The Lees are amongst the group who went with the Rose Woman, and I saw a few other notable faces, though I did not really feel like mingling. Unfortunately for every one of them, the Wrights are interested in buying. What's been bugging my mind, however, is that Isabelle. What is her problem? I still don't quite understand what is happening. One moment she is scrambling to give us the paperwork to finalize the sale. Then she is panicking over some sort of prank letter or another.
Dear me, is Isabella all right?
It is apparent with the way she shakes and by the pallor of her skin, something has really shaken her up.
Isabella, do you need me to call that ambulance?
I am worried, but it will be best if she's attended to by someone more familiar to her, like her partner. But even then, the girl refuses Rose's offered drink and looks about ready to make a run for it.
No, I'm just feeling a bit out of it. Excuse me. I'll be back. I just need to catch my breath.
And she does so, just as I predicted, and her partner follows like a concerned mother. There's an awkward air among us as we are left in the wake of whatever that was. The others murmur and gossip with each other, speaking of the poor daft girl and telling the tale to whoever was not audience to the act in the first place. It doesn't take too long for the woman Rose to return and pull us aside into the study for what I rightfully assume is damage control. Rose invites Marianne in too, hoping to apologize to her as well. But the woman refuses, saying she is not one of her clients anyway. That leaves myself, Rose, and Luke, the last all too eager to make himself comfortable in a study he's no doubt already claimed as his own.
I can't apologize enough about what just happened. Please forgive Isabella. She's been under a lot of pressure lately. She's young and all those rumors about this being haunted just got to her head. And it must be this terrible heat too. Not a drop of rain for days now.
Are you sure it is wise to just let her go like that? Where is the poor dear? She might get hurt.
She's more likely to hurt somebody else, given what just happened.
I told her to sit down and take a break. Already rang someone to pick her up too.
That might be for the best, dear. But please, we're here to talk about the mansion, yes? Why, I absolutely adore it. Don't you, Luke? Some of the rooms will certainly have to be repurposed. We want to change the appliances and have Marianne lead on the decor, but the whole thing is just lovely.
I guess. It's certainly a lot roomier than our penthouse.
Exactly. Lots of space for guests, parties. a lot of room for little ones to run around too.
Let's not discuss that right now, Buttercup. Anyway, I do think it would be a shame to let this mansion slip past us.
But you haven't even finished touring the house.
Well, we like what we've seen.
I am making her job easier for her, don't I? No need for loans or long price negotiations. We can just sign a contract and close the deal. Really, you think this woman would be more happy about an easy sale? I know how these estate agents worked, how long they had to wait, and how much they had to spend, even for just a single sale. Why, she should be jumping for joy by now. I'm sure the commission on this mansion is nothing to sneeze at, even if she has to split it with the Isabel girl.
Do you think we could have horses here?
Yes, those do sound nice, love. Anyway, if anyone else is interested in buying this property, I assure you that I'm able and willing to give a better offer.
A vineyard would be nice. Or maybe
And we do reward our people quite generously, Rose. So if I were you, I would start on that paperwork.
helicopter pad.
I pause. And there's a small moment of complete silence where Rose and I just stare incredulously at Luke. It is an unspoken understanding, a rule between the two of us that we have to put on an act. With our social standing where image matters, it is also important to avoid making enemies. And to follow this rule is an easy feat for me. From youth, I have been the well-trained social butterfly, gracious and graceful. Luke, on the other hand...
Oh, wait, what, Luke? No, what? Whatever would we need a helipad for?
Well, he likes to play the fool sometimes, even if he is anything but. As he throws me a wry smile, I shake my head and beckon Rose over. This is to be our home, and there is nothing she or anyone else can do to change my mind. This is a place that speaks of power and importance, and at the same time of safety and comfort. Perhaps we can even have our family here. There is definitely no better gift than this for our special date. Why, everything here is absolutely wonderful. Well, except for this ugly painting in the study. Looks like a bad fake of an Edvard Munch painting. At least I think that's how his last name is pronounced, but he's the guy who did the Scream, in case you're wondering what the name is from.
Here's the deal. I'm willing to pay 10% higher than your listing price. If anyone tries to outbid us, just add another 5%. I doubt anyone can, of course. Or, you know what? Just add 15% to the listing price, and we can sign all the paperwork now.
I guess, if that's what you want. That won't be any trouble. I don't have all the papers now. Didn't think this would be a quick sell. I'll have copies sent to you so you can look over them. And if you'd still like to finish the rest of the tour with Isabella's group, you're more than welcome to.
No, I think we're good here. We'd appreciate a private tour of the place a lot more, I think.
All right. Should I let Marianne in, then?
Marianne? Oh, right. She's been waiting outside the study this whole time, hasn't she? I'll need to have a little chat with her to move this little mansion project forward.
Please do.
There's a look of apprehension when the other woman enters the study. Yet, like a professional, I see the moment when she steels herself and masks her worry. Admirable.
We have this project then?
Of course. Will you be needing anything from us?
Having the floor plans would be a great start, just so that I can look at them beforehand. And if you could tell me when you're available for a meeting so that I can include it in my calendar?
Oh, is a meeting really all that necessary, Marianne? I guess we can send Johans to help you out. You two can start by getting rid of this ugly painting.
A hush falls upon the room at my request,
What painting?
and lo and behold, the painting is gone. In its place, a mirror stands, which leads me to look at my own confused expression.
Odd. Well, no matter. Back to the topic at hand. Marianne, dear, we are simply far too busy to meet up.
Or perhaps maybe I should question the need for a meeting. This isn't the first estate we've acquired, of course. We bought plenty of others, from penthouses in Luxbourne to vacation and townhouses in nearby cities. It is, however, the first time that an interior designer has asked for a meeting with me. Normally, I just let them do as they please and hope for the best. I found that they rather liked the creative freedom it lent them. They all bragged about it. Hannah Wright is living in a house I designed.
I can make time, but I'm sure you're more than capable enough to work on your own, yes? Surely I would just get in the way and you can do things faster and more efficiently without my input. Because, no offense, if you're one of those workers who need constant supervision and hand-holding, you might as well tell me now so that I can look for another interior designer to work with.
Surely this one will feel the same.
Yes, I am capable of working without any design input and without supervision, Mrs. Wright. But it'd be entirely different if I know what you two would want for this home, how each room is meant to be used. You have to consider what sort of color palette you would want at the very least. Do consider that this will be your home and not mine.
None of those houses ever did feel like a home.
You won't give me a choice in the matter, will you?
What? No. You do have a choice, and...
No. You've clearly made up your mind that we must meet. All right. Monday. 10 o'clock sharp. We'll see you then.
Actually, Mary had suggested that we meet at 9, but who's even awake at that unholy hour? I was lucky enough to wake up this morning before Luke went all the way to Cardiff. We say our goodbyes, shake hands, and make it clear without outright saying it that we now own this house. By the time we left the mansion grounds, sunset is almost upon us.
So, you really want to buy this place then? That's a bit of a big impulse buy, even coming from you. Not that I'm complaining.
I feel elation when I hear those words from him. It's not every day one is able to please someone like Luke. He gives away false flattery to sway those who starve for his attention and approval. But in the privacy of closed doors, he would often express his grievances. He neither censored himself in front of me nor spared me from his criticism.
You have been saying the penthouse was getting a bit too small for you. Happy anniversary!
Oh. That time of the year already?
He forgot about it last year, too. I understand that he's a busy man, but...
Is that why you want to buy it?
Yes. You don't like it?
I do. But I remember you used to talk about how you wanted to live next to the beach.
Botany Bay, Kent. I remember the sea, water that stretched on for miles and miles as far as the eye can see. As a kid, I loved our beach trips, swimming all day as much as I could. I was a well-behaved child, and the only time I was ever truly difficult is when I refused to get out of the waters, even when my fingers had gone all wrinkly. And even when they managed to pull me out of the water, there was always sandcastles. The day before we married, I told Luke that I wanted a house on a beach and a dog. And a kid or two. None of those came true 7 years later.
That was a childish dream. Living next to the beach is so impractical if you really think about it.
I don't know. It's not a bad thought to see you in a bathing suit every day.
Maybe another time, love. We still have forever, don't we?
He says nothing, only grabbing my hand and holding it tight as we spend the rest of the ride home in silence. I miss the sea. Sick and hovering over the loo at 3 in the morning, the picture I paint right now is hardly glamorous. A horribly fishy taste is left in my mouth as I throw up what I had for dinner, and I hate the acrid stench that fills the lavatory. The burning sensation in the back of my throat is of no help whatsoever. I can feel another wave of nausea come up on me when the door opens.
Hannah, what are you doing so early out of bed?
I'm fine, love. I must have just eaten something bad.
That's all I managed to say before vomiting again into the porcelain throne. Lovely.
Just go back to bed, Luke. I'm going to clean up here.
I refuse to look at him. I don't want him to see me like this. The last time I've had a horrible morning retching in a toilet was during my college years, being the life of the party. Thoughtless and shameless, I had thrown away months to frivolous merriment and pointless hookups. I didn't even retain any of the connections I made from that time. Sure, they still know of me and I still know of them, and we still do business from time to time, but I've lost touch with anyone who I didn't see on a daily basis. I hardly have any of the friends I had when I was still Hannah Evans. Teachers, fellow university students, drinking buddies, and old conquests like Jack.
No, don't touch me, sweetie. It's disgusting. I'm disgusting.
Luke sits down next to me on the toilet floor to hold my hair even as I cough up more fish. He wipes the vomit from the corner of my mouth and just stares.
Do I need to fire someone? I don't feel sick.
Just feeling a bit under the weather, dear. It's been unbearably hot as of late, hasn't it? I do wish it would rain.
Are you sure it wasn't those sweets? I told you not to eat those sweets.
Maybe. Well, don't laugh.
Well, I can't help if you make that sort of face.
He starts chuckling, and soon enough he's in a fit of laughter. The scene happening next to a loo filled with sick just makes the whole thing bizarre, and it nearly makes me start giggling as well. I try to stifle it though as I smack him on the shoulder.
I'm not making a face, Luke. Stop laughing. Shut up.
When he would not stop laughing, I let myself go as laughter bubbles from my own throat, and I forget whatever ill feelings plagued me. We are just husband and wife, laughing together at a funny face, the little things in life. I let myself go because I know that these moments will not last forever. But if I just know the terrible things that are to come for us, I would have wished with everything I have then and there that the laughter stayed.
Hiya! Come on now!
The place is bustling with movers, carrying furnishings here and there, along with several trunks of personal belongings taken from our penthouse. Luke watches them like a hawk, making sure nothing is handled carelessly or gets stolen.
Careful now. I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings. Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
Luke, do the dishwashers go into the kitchen or the butler's pantry?
Pantry, Buttercup. Careful, that's Emma. No, you there, put that down. You do not manhandle a Napoleon Abueva.
I have no idea what this one is. I am not that much of an art person. I can see the exasperation, and I have to send the foreman an apologetic glance. Even Johannes rolled his eyes as he goes by. Considering Luke is always like this during a project, Johannes and I have gotten used to it. Poor Marianne, on the other hand, looks a bit stressed at seeing the gigantic mess before quickly going back to work. Everything just has to be perfect, exactly the way he wants it. One little thing out of place, one little thing that didn't fit the image he clearly constructed in his head, and Luke gets bent out of shape.
Sweetie, why don't we go and sort your suits upstairs? Let Johannes and Marianne and the foreman deal with the rest of the work.
We have this, Mrs. Wright.
Yes, please do go before a blood vessel bursts. Bloodstains are so troublesome to clean.
Taking him by the hand, I lead him upstairs into our bedroom. This place has been arranged first so that we can get some rest, no matter what state the rest of the mansion is in. I'm definitely glad I can just lie down on a soft, comfy bed after what has been a busy morning. Watching Luke act like his life depended on getting this move done is tiring all on its own. And I think I have a whole day of this ahead of me. I feel the bed dip beside me as Luke sits down with a sigh.
Well, I can't wait for this to be over.
I don't know. It's fun seeing you all fired up. Here at home and not at work, you know.
You know I can't always be home, Hannah. I have a company to run, unless you've forgotten.
I haven't forgotten. You're the one who insists on being there to make sure each and every little thing is under control. I just really miss you sometimes, and I wish you were at home more often. Why, if you're not careful, I might go a bit loopy and I'll start bringing cats home. And soon enough, one day you'll find yourself going home to a farm just filled with felines that follow you everywhere.
Oh, don't bluff. The things would shred up your precious furniture. Besides, you don't even like cats.
True. Dogs are infinitely superior, of course.
But what about the wet dog smell? The mess? I'm not cleaning up after a mutt, no matter how cute. If you think about it, a cat would be better.
We laugh. It's not always that we can just lie down and talk about these sorts of things. To joke around as if we're teenagers again, with very little problem in the way of responsibilities and rules. To hear his genuine, honest-to-goodness laughter is a rarity. This is just the second time as of late. I can only see it as good signs of good things to come.
All good points. I guess we could just have kids. That is, if you prefer dealing with soiled nappies and sick as opposed to dead birds, mice, and litter boxes. I've already told Marianne about turning the second bedroom into a children's room.
I guess sometimes I don't know when I'm crossing a line. I didn't say that I'm a good comedian, did I?
Not this again.
What? I wasn't being serious.
It's not something you take the piss out of. Having a kid is a big responsibility, Hannah.
And it'd be nice if more people these days actually knew that.
We've talked about this, haven't we? I'm not ready to be a parent. I'd probably end up killing the little brat by the week's end.
I definitely do like Luke. So, as much as I agree with that whole sentiment here, we're gonna go with this one. I feel guilty, uneasy even, about bringing this topic up. This isn't the first time I've brought it out there, considering we've been married for 7 years. But I should have learned my lesson. Talking about it has always gotten me disapproval. After all, this is one of the surefire ways to get Luke into a terrible mood.
I'm sorry, but I do think you...
Don't finish that sentence, Hannah. Just don't. We know how this discussion ends. Let's not fight over what-ifs and if-onlys.
But what if we are going to have a family, Luke? What then?
I just told you. No what-ifs.
We won't talk about it until you're ready.
Let's not talk about it then. Ever.
The silence that follows is stifling. I avert my gaze from him, favoring the view of our four-poster bed, overseeing his embittered expression. Just thinking of how insensitive I am for bringing it up makes me feel sick to my stomach. We stay still, neither of us dare make the first move to leave. Until a crash from downstairs cuts through the tension.
Oh, bloody hell, what is it now? I can't get away for 10 minutes without someone mucking something up. That better not be what I think it is. I know it's only an 8 million yen vase, but I swear, I'll...
Keep in mind that'd be about $80,000. I don't stop him as he storms off, and he doesn't even bother to look my way. Yet I can still feel his eyes boring into me. Alone, as per usual. I really should be used to it by now. I can feel the minutes tick by with me just lying there, feeling miserable and full of self-pity. I've rolled over to lie on my stomach at this point with my face buried into the pillows when there's a knock at the door. Grumbling at them to go away doesn't work as a voice comes from the other side.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
Wait, is that today? Oh, yes. People had caught wind of our new mansion the very moment we left the open house. Luke had boasted he could acquire the property in no time and allowed a photo shoot for an interior design magazine to be scheduled today. Well, there were complications, and it took longer than it usually does for us.
In a minute, Hansi.
Johannes, if you could at least make it through the end.
Tell them I'll be right down, Hansi.
So I'm starting to wonder, is Johannes the father? The mansion grounds has been one of the first things to be fixed up, aside from the bedroom. Although it's still a work in progress, it had a promising start, and I can already see the flower patches. Luke's favorite daffodils stand out easily, having been transplanted from the pots that used to litter the rooftop of our penthouse. Well, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscaper on his way out. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of their discussion. It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. He is hard to miss, the hulk of a man that clearly did not belong, and the big backpack and suitcase he has with him makes him look much larger. It is a peculiar sight, seeing someone who looks like he does handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces his serene expression.
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary Steele here from Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you weren't waiting too long. But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
The one and only. Welcome, welcome to Maison de Right.
And if you don't actually get this, maison is basically the way of saying house in French, so the right house.
And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed, but it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product. Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hannah, if I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hannah.
Alrighty then. Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright. Hannah.
Monsieur... Ah, crud. I can't read that. Monsieur Le Photographe, I believe that was. Actually, it was probably up there. I probably could have read it. Oh well. Zachary proves quickly enough that I can, in fact, trust him. His skills with the camera and experience in this industry, at the very least. He is kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fellow, and he treats our household staff well whenever we cross paths with him. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he is patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They are quite the magician's toolkit. From inside, he had procured several items to embellish the interior with. Bowls of fruits, lemons, trays with pepper mills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards, and glass canisters filled with colorful nuts and grains are brought in for a kitchen setting. For the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells, and decorative soaps. There are other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack and suitcase.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture. But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights. Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
Oh, it better.
We go through the rooms one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. The ballroom needs little preparation with its grand design, although there is some trouble at first with the wide open space and the pictures being backlit. It is in the kitchen that Zachary's props come in handy, considering how Johannes kept the place so neat and sterile, one could practically eat off the floor. We carry on touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with the exception to the rooms which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't sneak a peek at his photos yet. Funnily enough, he is using a traditional camera. I didn't even know film still existed. With the way he speaks, however, I can see that he knows enough about his craft that I'm not too worried about botched photographs. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while taking pictures. There are small snippets of conversation in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes as far as to talk about these terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. I can't quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on their canvas. But just watching someone passionately practicing their craft such as this is exciting and it's on its way. In its own way. Okay. I was confused because that did not make sense. Going through the many rooms has been quite the exercise for the both of us. Despite that, he has been so nice, and I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we're taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Just a moment. And have I not been paying attention, I would have even noticed. It is merely a split second when Zachary's rhythm is put to a halt. His finger doesn't move to release the shutter. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face, gaze still firmly fixed through the viewfinder. His hands shake, and there's a slight sheen of sweat on his forehead.
Zachary?
No response.
Zach? Is something the matter?
Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me before shaking his head. Turning around, though, I see nothing that could have gotten his attention.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness around my throat. Everything stops. And everything starts again as I manage to choke out.
If you're sure.
I don't know what just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine. And he said he's fine. We continue at the same pace as before, although there's an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Maybe I've been out of line, sticking my nose in other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so as I see his shoulders slump and the easygoing air he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Foncé very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Foncé is all about?
He hesitates. But when I refuse to budge on the matter, he gives in and spills it all out. Bleu foncé, l'heure la plus sombre des noirs britanniques. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the black British. He speaks with passion of one who has gone through the very matter he is concerned with. There's conviction, knowledge, and experience in his speech. Why, I would have told him that he's an amazing speaker, if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances for opportunity and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people of color in general still being treated like second-class citizens. All because of the color of their skin. It is all just positively riveting and sad. And I should mention, this is not really unique to being a British problem. I don't know how prevalent it is over the Commonwealth, but it's one of those serious problems we have in the US right now. If you want to look into it, there is a ton of stuff. The school to prison pipeline is pretty much the best example I can think of. Basically, whenever I talk about stuff, I probably will focus on the education aspect, but it's about how the schools failed them. And their schools are poorly funded. The teachers are not often as qualified, if they have qualifications at all, and it's really bad. It comes to a point where he soon loses steam. He looks abashed, realizing what he'd just done.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion, after all. You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely. You do have very beautiful eyes.
Uh-huh. Thanks, I guess.
I want to say that I understand where he's coming from, but I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've lived a charmed life. It hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. I certainly don't know how I would have fared were it any different. Would I still have met Luke, and would he still have loved me if I was any lesser?
What was your home like? These things you talk about. It sounds like you've... Well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around, but a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Oh, that I knew. Children can be so cruel at times. Little did she know it was actually the teacher doing it, of course. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you have personal guards, and the stolen item is not a pencil, but an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
It's nice, I suppose.
You suppose? Not big enough?
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that...
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl, all dolled up and treated like fragile porcelain, with nursemaids waiting to hit me hand and foot. All the material possessions anyone could ever want, I could ask for on a whim, and it would be handed to me just like that. But I barely saw my parents. Just goodbye kisses in the morning before they went off to who knows where they needed to be next. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in person.
I remember my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really. It makes you think how alone you are.
A pensive mood overcomes us, and there's a moment where neither of us are sure how to go on from here. Things have gotten a bit too personal, yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable, like as if we'd been friends before.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here. You'll make home out of it yet.
He certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one. Just as large and extravagant, and just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde mansion. What's next on the agenda?
The interview?
Boring. It's an interior design and housing magazine.
And they want to know what Miss Wright has to say about her interior design and house.
Honor Wright thinks she bought a magnificent house that she can certainly brag about. Blah, blah. Boring. You know what they should print more of? I watched an interesting documentary the other day. Bleu Foncé, the darkest hours of the Black British. I recommend you watch it. Those are the things that people should know about. What do they care if I use a purple or green bowl of fruit in my kitchen?
People, right?
Oui. People are shite. What do you think? Do I look good with this angle?
I strike a pose while he's being busy, looking taken aback for a moment, probably not expecting me to just go and say such a crass word. But he recovers quickly, and after snapping a few shots, he grins.
Yeah, vous êtes belle. You want copies of these ones?
In case you don't know, you are beautiful.
Yes, please. So, the big boy knows French. You must have wooed a few ladies. Unless you're into gents.
And I just remembered, earlier, blue bebe that she was talking about, that's baby blue. Get it? It's the opposite color of dark blue.
Either way, French is, after all, the language of romance.
Oh, I don't know about quoting fancy poetry, but I've made lunch for a girl before, and they did like that fancy French cuisine.
Can you cook your best?
I can cook just about anything as long as I know the recipe.
C'est magnifique.
And hopefully I don't need to translate that one. It has been too long since I had a nice and proper chat with a good friend. No, Lee is certainly not a good friend. Although we just met, Zachary is the sort who can probably befriend anyone. He's just a comfortable person to be around. A bit too comfortable. The photo shoot went by a breeze. And somewhere along the way, as we talk and laugh, I find myself getting a bit too close without realizing. He'll give me this strange look until I back off, and he'll go back to asking questions after I agree to do his little interview. And it's just odd. Well, no. Me being friendly isn't that odd. That is how I am. Zach. Zachary is the one being odd. Why, anyone else would absolutely welcome the extra attention I give them. He, on the other hand, looks almost flustered about it. He should be used to different personalities by now, having to deal with various people when he works. And if not, he needs to start. Perhaps nobody has shown him attention of this kind, but he's a big boy. He should be able to handle me. All it is a friendly touch here, a pretty smile there, and gentle swaying of the hips as I move around. Zachary grew more red every time he noticed. Am I being mean as I find enjoyment in seeing him unravel? Perhaps. This went on during the interview and beyond that. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, right? Zachary and I are just having a playful, friendly chat while enjoying the outside view. At least that's how I see it.
I'm sorry, but I'm really getting distracted. Could you maybe stop doing that?
Stop? I'm not sure if I want to, though. This is who I am, and I'm not going to tone myself down for somebody else. I have no obligation to do so. At any rate, he is rather cute, and it is a bit fun seeing him squirm. What's the worst that could happen? I doubt it'll be anything bad, considering how much of a gentleman he is.
Oh, stop doing what, Zach, sweetie?
Touching my arm and looking at me like that.
I don't know, Zach. Do you want an adult in the room? I pause, giving him a baffled look. This is certainly the first time a man has ever complained about me being too friendly.
I'm not doing anything wrong. Come on now, don't be like that. It's just a bit of fun.
A bit of harmless fun.
I'm sorry. It's just really uncomfortable and I don't think either of us want Mr. Wright to see us and think there's any funny business. I'm sorry. Look, we're finished with the interview already, aren't we? Maybe it's about time I go.
Oh, you must be joking.
No, I'm not.
You're certainly the odd one. Don't be such a killjoy. A little bit of flirting never hurt anyone.
It's gotten a lot of people killed.
Other men would simply be delighted by my interest in them. Besides, you really are such a cutie.
Well, I'm not them, Hannah. So, yeah, I'm probably odd.
I don't understand you.
Let me put it this way. You're a pretty lady, so this must have happened to you at least once or twice. How would you feel if someone was making you uncomfortable? Only for them to refuse when you ask them to stop and they make you out to be the one that's wrong?
This isn't the same as that.
As I try to argue his point, he starts to pack the rest of his bags. This is preposterous. My main argument is, what sort of man complains about a beautiful woman being friendly with them? It seems logical in my head, but the moment I try to say it, it starts to fall apart.
Yes, it is. Unwanted advances don't make me feel macho or anything like that. I'm not here to argue morals or ethics, Miss Wright. I think I have more than enough for the interview, if that's fine with you. I may be starting to overstay my welcome.
I feel deflated. And things were going so smoothly, too. I ended up pushing too hard, just when I might have found myself a good friend. I'm not sure if I feel awful because I'm not getting what I want, or because I was just compared to the pigs I so despise.
You're not even going to let me apologize.
You're not a bad person, Hannah. Just...
Because I really am sorry.
people won't always be how you want them to be. And apology accepted, but I really do need to go. A friend of mine is expecting me, and it's getting late.
Will you visit again? I will be asking for copies of those photographs.
Yeah, sure. I'll make you a copy.
That would be much appreciated. I'll ask Johans to see you out.
I feel sick to my stomach as I watch Zachary leave. It is silly to be so upset over falling out with a man who was, only a few hours ago, a complete stranger to me. That doesn't excuse my boorish behavior at all, and it doesn't make the ill feeling any better. Idling about, I stare off into space, unsure of how I feel. And I stay a good while, just staying there until the sun sets in the horizon. Disheartened, I proceed back into the mansion for supper.